Hello and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, I'm Barbara Aboagye and I create content on studying abroad. In today's episode, I have with me Odeneho Joel Anaman, and he is actually a Chevening scholar. And we are going to talk about the Chevening essay. When it comes to scholarships in the UK, the Chevening is kind of like the ish. And when you get selected, you see them all over social media, chosen for Chevening. So before we start today's episode, I'll allow Joel to introduce himself and tell us about the Chevening scholar and why the hype about the scholarship. So Joel, the floor is yours.
Where from the Odeneho? Anyway.
But I've made you speechless. I mean, if it is hype, yeah,
No, it's just
hype
funny.
man. I'm just hyping you. I'm just putting you in the mood.
Okay. Put me in the mood. Put me in the mood. Joel, a trained pharmacist by profession, but currently a product manager, building Mandi, which is a professional growth tracker for people who need more help with self-awareness. Right. A lot of people deny that, but it's actually a real situation that we have seen at my career consultancy as well, which is Career View. And so that's what I'm up to now. I'm just trying to keep it short, but more around Chevening. I mean, this is less about me and then more around Chevening. So Chevening is a very prestigious scholarship, right?
Before you continue, is it
It's
Chevening
the
or
only
Chevening?
scholarship. Okay,
For
Chevening.
the UK is Chevening. And maybe
Yeah,
for
like you say,
the
the way you say
local is
evening,
Chevening.
right? You
Was
say
it? Uh,
unless you say unless you say good evening.
Okay. So what is it? Is it Chevening
No
or
way.
Chevening? Which is it? Tell
Yeah,
us so that
it's Chevening. It's Chevening.
okay, Chevening.
It's
Okay.
Chevening. I mean, I used to call it Chevening at first, but then yeah, I learned to say Chevening. So yeah, it's Chevening.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, the Global Chevening Scholarship. Oh, you infested me now. Say Chevening. Okay, so it's very prestigious by the UK government, and the goal is to be able to build leaders who are able to immerse in the UK culture, and they're able to go back to their home countries to impact the various sectors that they're working in. And what makes it prestigious is because it brings, I'd say, it's the only scholarship that brings over 150 people from all other countries. It's highly competitive. I became a Chevening scholar in 2020, and I can quite recall that I was part of the top 2.5% of over 62,000 applicants. So that's how it can get, right? And I'm very privileged to have enjoyed that. Yes, so it's a fully funded scholarship. The best part I love about it is that you don't have to be thinking about what amount of money you have to spend on tuition. Chevening just says, get the admission, win the Chevening scholarship, and you will pay it off. So you can have people taking my program. My program was around, I think, £19,000, if I would remember. And there are people in UCL, that's University College London, paying about 30,000 plus pounds, and there were people in Oxford paying 47,000 plus pounds, and you're all Chevening scholars, right? So irrespective of the amount Chevening pays, there's a string attached to that one though. I wouldn't say string, there's a caveat, which is that if you are doing an MBA, it's at my time was capped at £18,000. The amount may have changed, but basically you can find it on their FAQs. So basically, it's not just being able to be academically smart, because there are people who get a second class lower and still make it into Chevening. It's about real impact, being able to demonstrate leadership, being able to demonstrate like relationship building, which is geared towards impact and also being able to show that you have certain ambitious career plans for which they should, fund your dreams. So basically, I'll say that's what the Chevening Scholarship is about. But as we move along, I'll tell you more. Oh, and the fact that it's like you have prestigious people in government, we have presidents who have been part of the Chevening community with an alumni group of about 50,000 class members and growing. So it's super cool.
Okay. So before we start the main agenda for today, is it for all universities in the UK and for all programs, or there are certain programs and there are certain universities that you have to have these admissions before you could apply for Chevening?
Okay, so there's this portal, Chevening has this portal, I think postgrad.com, that is integrated with their portal. And when you open the portal, you're able to apply to almost all schools. Some schools are indicated partner schools, so it means that they have some form of collaboration with Chevening. There are schools that are not labeled as partner schools, but people are still able to secure scholarships from them. So it's really the case of almost all schools in the UK.
Okay.
You're able to secure that here.
And
And I also have to give that disclaimer. Every Chevening scholar gives that disclaimer that whatever they say on interview is final. The place that you should get your final information from is the Chevening website. It has tons of information, like lots that can give you all the clarity that you need. Yeah, so I need to put out that disclaimer.
Okay. Is it part of the secret? Because like I think last 2 years I also interviewed Chevening School, and this was one of the things he said. Why you had thought that you have to say that, or
no, it's just one of those things where, because people think that you're a Chevening scholar, it means that you probably working with a Chevening secretariat and your word is final. Okay. So it's just to give that transparency. Yeah.
Well, for me, I feel it's weird for people to draw that conclusion, but I do understand. You understand the circumstances we are in. So without wasting much time, like as I said from the beginning, today's website is to help you put together a strong essay for the Chevening. And is it Chevening? Yeah. I have to keep on practicing so that I don't, because for the Chevening. And before I give you the floor, when is the timeline for the Chevening scholarship? When does it open and when does it end?
Yeah, it varies. It depends on a particular year, but most likely you would see it open in August and closed in November.
Okay, awesome. So that's
the window.
Yeah, so once we have it now, you have a lot of time to iterate your essay. So Joel, you have the floor. Let's take us through. So
just like that. Okay, let's go.
Okay.
So first of all, I'd say a lot of people jump straight into wanting to apply for the Chevening scholarship. I mean, I did the same. In hindsight, I would always advise that if you are thinking about applying for the Chevening scholarship, you should live the life or the story that you want to tell in those essays now, right? Because it's going to be a year of dedication, right? And at the end of the period, you may emerge victorious, or you may be on a reserve list, or you may face a straight rejection. So whichever case it is, for me, was an eye-opening moment for me, being able to bring my full self and, getting my self-awareness in check and then putting them into stories that would sell for me. And I had to put my last on it because I really wanted to transition into tech. So it was like a defining moment for me. So I just had to, say that it's quite important, so that the expectations is well managed, I would say. Let me share my screen. I have a blank sheet and I have a master file. So because we told so much, I have a monitor. So just in case you see me looking here, it's just the case of using a second monitor. So I must say that because of how my cohorts hustled. I mean, other cohorts hustled, I'm very sure, but I love my cohorts so much. The Ghanaian cohorts. We call ourselves the immersion cohorts. Mainly because uh we decided to put together a resource because we saw how well we struggled with assistance and all of that. So we decided to put together a resource which we'll be constantly tapping from. We had a Zoom group studies. That's a group studies like group session, right? We had Zoom group sessions for people after we got into the Chevening scholarship,
That's beautiful.
and yeah, that got, I think, 11 out of all the people who applied. I mean, 11 out of the people who got in were from the coaching sessions that we had. Not to take their credits away from them, but I believe that we also like contributed to their success. So ground rules, I would say before you apply for Chevening, you always have to go to the Chevening website. It is a must, right? It's like the place where you get all the authentic information from finding a course, understanding, that's even where you apply, right? Understanding what the scholarship is about and trying to see whether there's an opportunity that you want to take at that particular point in time or not. So there's an FAQ session. Yes. And I believe that before anybody decides to start with applying for Chevening, they should visit this FAQ session. And it's mainly because like day in, day out, I get feedback from people, or let me not say feedback, I get people approaching me and asking questions that are readily available on the internet. And normally the impression it gives is that you've probably not done your research or something, like you've not put in work. And it leaves a very bad impression on you. So if you're watching this video, that's the biggest gift I have for you. If you want to apply for the Chevening scholarship, head over here and then do all your research. And the best part is that you can literally search. Do you have a question that you want to ask? Barbara, I can search the FAQs.
Okay.
Any question at all.
I think maybe one of the questions people worry when it comes to studying and like applying for a scholarship is, do I need a first class to apply? Something like along those lines.
Okay. Let me not use.
You can just like
Let me
keyword.
use keywords. Yeah. Okay. Email, funding, money, partnerships, travel, accepting an award, applications. Let me put it in applications. And then applicants. Okay. So guidance for references, blah, blah, blah. Can I apply to another course, education documents? Okay, so I can see degree. Let me type in degree to see if I'm gonna get something. Okay, can I apply for this? Blah, blah, blah. Can I find out if my qualification makes me eligible? Yes, so that's it. Right? This one. So to be eligible for a Chevening scholarship, you should have an undergraduate degree that will enable you to gain entry onto a postgraduate program at a university. This is typically equivalent to upper second class honors degree in the UK. So I think this is where a lot of people tap into the confusion. They get confused. I need to have a degree second class upper. But what the answer is saying is that typically those who are able to secure admissions, right, with the UK university, they do have a second class upper degree. So that's what typically happens. That doesn't mean that if you have an HND, there are people who I know, not personally, but from a distance, they were able to get into a university program with their HND because they had lots of years of work experience. Same with people with a 2.2, right? And eventually they were able to now leverage that admission to get into Chevening. So the prerequisite is that you should have an undergraduate degree that will enable you to gain entry onto a postgraduate program at the university. So anything that you're going to do to secure that postgraduate program, if you're able to get it, that's the prerequisite you need to go into Chevening when it comes to the degree. So that's like just a typical demo. You know, when I was looking for the thing, I was like, hey, I can't find the answer. I can't find the answer. Hey, people are calling me. Sorry, I can't find my answer. Let me put my phone on D&D. I can't find the answer. Okay, where do I tap from? Yeah, so when I was like looking for the answer, I was like, hey, what's happening? I'm running my mouth about this FAQs. The FAQs came through, baby. So yeah, so that's about it. Like you can find literally all the information that you need here with the FAQs, right? All the information. They have tons of frequently asked questions. So you just need to use the right keywords and then you can get yourself, you filter and then get yourself in. Anyway, so there are four components for the Chevening application. Like this is particularly with the essays, right? Which is the core part of the application. I'm not saying that the other parts are not important. You should have whatever document you need to prove your education. Initially, Chevening used to take English language tests. At time, they waived it, COVID and the centers were closed, right? So the way that shows how flexible Chevening can get. So the core part of the application process is the essays. And you usually would have 4 essays. So there's one on leadership, and there's one on relationship building. Initially, they called it networking.
Okay.
And then
When I
there's
saw
one.
relationship bodies, I thought it was like boyfriend, girlfriend.
Why wouldn't you think so? And then the other one was why do you want no, I think it's studying in the UK, studying in the UK. In the UK. And then the last one is your career plan. Yeah, so I'll try as much as possible. Like these are not prescriptive because writing is a creative process. So whichever way you're gonna go about it, I believe that at the end of the day, if you have a compelling story, you're going to win. And obviously you're doing this in competition with other people. I remember trying to just find coherence between my essays. I won't lie. I won't hype it, but I literally spent 12 hours to do that. I did that overnight.
Okay.
That day I had to overhaul everything, and it was not like just 12 hours sitting, but then I take some naps in between. But that day I told myself I was gonna get the drafts done, and it got done. So these 4 essays define the core part of your success, because what also happens is that after submitting your application on the Chevening portal, they review the application on a global level, and then they make their initial selection. So whichever criteria they have, right, they judge against those criteria. But at best, they will tell you what each essay should entail. You wouldn't see just leadership. So for example, in 2020, they had this leadership and influence. So this is a playbook I was talking about that we sort of built, which I can make available. Anybody can tap into it. Some information might be outdated, so that's just a disclaimer. So leadership and influence, you'd see this. Chevening is looking for individuals who will be future leaders or influencers in their home countries. Explain how you meet this requirement using clear examples of your own leadership and influencing skills to support your answer. Minimum word count, 100 words. Maximum word count, 500 words. And if you're someone who in the past, like me, who in the past did not love writing, you might think 500 words is a lot till you start writing and realize that it can't contain your stories. So you would have to, one thing I've seen a lot of people struggle with is that they have a challenge being able to choose, what stories to present, which story gives them the best um, presentation of themselves. And they end up putting everything together and then it loses focus. So instead of spreading yourself thin, think about, drilling deep with the stories. And one guiding principle I would say is that put your stories together in such a way that if someone reads the leadership and influence bits, and then they come to the network, which is a relationship building bit, there should be like a bit of coherence. They should feel like a connection between what you've written in the first essay and the second essay. And then your study in the UK too should sort of justify when the person reads the study in the UK and they read a course that you want to study, it should make sense to them. Like it should all appear clear to them. Then the last part is the career plan. At that point, they should be able to piece everything together and go like, this is why this person wants to study this program. They've done this in the past. This is where they are headed. And our program would push them there. So let's give them the push with our funding, right? So with that coherence, it makes things very easy. And it also helps you to filter out the kind of information you want to present because you only have 500 words.
Before you continue,
Yeah.
are the topics the same for each year or they keep on changing?
They are literally the same.
Okay.
What you might probably get is a slightly different. I track this myself, right? So the slightly different the subtext. So and even the heading. So I think last year or last 2 years, it was relationship building instead of networking, right? Yeah. So yeah, it may change, but the context is still the same. Like it's cut across these 4 topics. And there's also another thing. Let me see if I can find that here, but it's about those who mark the papers.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, I did. I got super curious after the scholarship. I got super curious because we're still mentoring people, right? And then there was this bit about let me just type that in.
Yeah, if you have
Bit
the one
about
like here, you could just search for it.
yeah. Chevening, committee, committee, job. Hey, what's happening? Okay. Let's see. Job. Okay, I found it. So I was like, I want to find out those who, those who mark the essays, right? I wanted to get into their heads. Like I want to know how they think, what they are thinking about, or what they look out for really when Chevening is trying to recruit for these people. And this is what I found, right? So they are people like for conflict of interest. They are not employed by the Chevening Secretariat or any of those affiliated bodies. They are also not a current Chevening scholar or fellow or Chevening alumni. So if you're thinking that I'll probably mark your staff note that I can't do that. So yes, so they commit to assessing 400 to 600 applications, right? And all the applications must be assessed by January 2nd. This was for 2023. We are in 2023, right?
Yes, that was last year.
Yeah, so it means the current applications that are being assessed. So you are supposed to submit your scores. You have from 21st November to 2nd January. That's like December, one full month. That's like, I don't know, but it's not up to 2 months,
Yeah.
basically, right? And then they are supposed to assess between 400 to 600 applications. So if you're having less than 2 months, like that's literally like maybe 30 days, let's say 30 working days, and you're assessing 20 applications a day, that's gonna take you to 600, right? So imagine that they probably have their full-time jobs and they are doing this on the side.
Yeah.
20, they can't, even if you're spending like 1 hour on each paper, that's like 20 hours.
Yeah.
30 minutes, that's 10 hours. So let's keep bringing it down. So 10 minutes will be what, 200 minutes. That's like less than 4 hours. And that could even be a lot. So 10 minutes, the application, 20 applications a day, and it runs through. So you can see there, this gives you like an idea of the time box that you're in. Picture yourself that you have to write the essay in such a way that when someone reads it in 10 minutes, they're able to make a decision about you.
Yep.
Right. So for me, this was like quite shocking. I wish I knew that. And there's the pay they get for that too as well. It's £1.50 per application.
Okay.
So okay. Why are you laughing?
No, because it's like when I start reading and the introduction is nonsense, like I don't even waste my time to continue. So
There's a
so that's why
possibility,
the
right?
introduction is always important.
Exactly. So £1.50 per application, and you do that for the 600 applications. And that's the first level screening. After screening for eligibility. So if you're not eligible, there's tons of eligibility requirements on the Chevening website, so you can get that information. Outside that, if you get through eligibility and then they read your essays and it's good enough, then you get past the first stage. So after they do those assessments, then it comes to the country level, and the country also does their own assessments right from the interviews, right? Interviewing you, trying to understand your priorities, how probably it aligns with the country's own priorities and all of that. And then they also make their decision, and then it's sent to the global level. How I was able to build out this roadmap, and this everything again, disclaimer for my outlook, because yeah. So as I mentioned, considering that you are getting an honorarium of £1.50 per application, and over 600 applications within that short period of 21st to 2nd or 9th January, it tells you that you should be able to wow your reader in just a couple of minutes, like 10 minutes should be fine. So your story must be very compelling. Okay, so that's just something that I wanted to show.